Video no either UTV has say Article 14 of the 1992 Constitution a guarantee ubia right to liberty. Now everybody or war or my you say whether you like it or not, no, your fundamental right to liberty, no, you are guaranteed. Na ebano arrest ni me bi o honoma. Sometimes I am not me for krana e wo krom ha no. Ye nim ekwan a e wo say nipa krona o che no or de ye efaso. Nti na ye lawyer wo studio ha or what our rights are with regards to when it comes to searching without warrants and as I search with warrants. No, kwan kwa was so faso and as I say for fasa kwan no so ne awo na sasem no ato no kwan a wonso be faso e de etwitwa ho nti straight away no ye ko any lawyer ni ama Richard ni ama who is a private legal practitioner and no atwetwe ye nkomo lawyer kwa ba.
Let
me say, ye beko straight to the point. Say, ye can say, bibi a unlawful arrest and detention. I see it saying.
Okay, me da say. Say one kasa wa dane lawyer nti. When who articles ni na. Because we started with Article 14. It can about arrest. I think Article 14(2). It can kwanya yemfa so entry nipa e okrum hanom. Na Article 14(2) no ama yati ase say police ni pese o kirewa. First of all, say o kan wo boni a waye no e kirew. Say e bia boni a waye ni eno nti ma kirew. So ati ase. Say police e kirewa. E na say won te kasa o kana e say o man facilities a wo de beka kasa wote no na otumi kirew ni nti a wa kirew no. Na to this rule no there are some exceptions. Say police never told say we read the bone. Area you are in the process of committing the crime. Or by now bubu be assume. And now put a second will be and now we are no better. At that point in time, no, because now who bonini dinimun intino. Emrano and Shane say on cancer the intia or because they win him dada. No, and now say who police nina now started say Udane. Udane share Emrano enforce police in on cancer the intia watch no automatic. Ochewa emrane kire say odoko police station. Police ne kire no odoko police station you will be a friend a caution statement. Obema o caution and I say obema o first warning. Now a actual statement. Wakacho say ni why you intend the actual one. Intino assemble na work on into so betro e bia ogi tum say we di bone na ampa be kasa ampa me je tum say my bone no. So what I say bi nso na wunji ntum e bia na fo say enye bone na wo ye na bia bi fufu na police na nte ase na wa chechem ni na wo ye na ya twro ama wo police ni ho kwan say obebro wo na why confession say police ni ehwe ana obro or force now your confession as a confession no a unlawful confession and it is what me could prove or court say police no ebro and say we confession na court ebe boss a confession no atwegu and until say what steady most of the time police nature no do police station no take statement ofre ubi a onye police ni wo mo fe no independent witness say ombra mbegina ho na untie asema wo ka no so ati asenti say what throw statement ni we are police ni bema independent witness no so abetro say mete hobi ena me hu say abranti ono ankasa age atomo say bone no ono yeye na ma court etumi edi adanse say ampa obi anforce obi ambro na one wage atomo say why bone no wahu after say what throw caution statement na wie no obey an investigation ya din na say all investigation we na so decide say odo court at that time no obesa throw statement for your fresh statement no charged statement says the police are charged or the bonnet charge into sabin so bit matro statement for I just say yeah the bonnet charge on either say uji tomorrow na say wonjin tum na ya boba sanu meni nyina no ene ye de be court akwakodi adanse afa case no ho into no eno na ye lawful arrest mama me fa bibi nkan lawful arrest no it must emanate from a reasonable suspicion. But for now, I can see children and say, answer na police ne beka say watch re wono. Na che say or was suspicion be a but from yes say reasonable. And yes say was the police bit me actually be on suspicion inti or sorry I know about be chiro. So what I say. Inti my mema typical example. Ebia wo de meka. obeto made na wo de meka be ye 5000 na me ko report ma police say wo de meka enti wo mete no wonye sika na mame at that point in time me ko ye complain say wo de meka no the police for na say wo hu say won commit a crime enti no there's no reasonable suspicion for them to come and arrest you reasonable suspicion na ye ka no ho no say obi be ye complain na complain na nipa no ye no enkyere say obi aye bone wahu enye bibia wo susu say ye bone na ye bone o crime no ade a wo susu say ye crime no crime ye dia emra agi atom say article 19 no beka tell say ade bia parliament pass ho mra na ye nje ntom say ye crime no enye crime organa so ati ase enti say bia bibia ni ho no ma eche say asem na esi ni ye crime a che say police funi ni reasonable suspicion
asa be ma wafa ne yere echi untumi nka say crime crime bone all right but enye crime so what you say enti based on that no say ade na enye crime na police ni ebe che wo ho a at that point in time because na only reasonable suspicion to arrest you no emma arrest ne be ye unlawful enti lawful arrest no e was say ejina reasonable suspicion so and send a police etumi aba be che say match say why we in fact e betumi aba say ne reasonable suspicion no obey investigation be we no na there was no crime committed but because there was a reasonable suspicion into no arrest no lawful lawyer me twawa no but yes by MMRA mu I say obia is presumed innocent until proven guilty na say obi abe report say asimesi ayemese anasa ayemese anasa police ni kwa who cross a reasonable suspicion ya opesa ochi obi me ma adwen mu anasa me sure so wo mo hwe so adwen ho say adenti na mu invite ni pakro no na so sometimes ebi o ayetumi hu say obi o ya kofie bi mu na akwache na de handcuff egu nensa ene de na ekọ no then na emra no ekafa ho na mpese mesan hu biem so say arrest bia na wo say posi kwa akwache ni pakro na ode nkrata de kokwache na na a bibia e friend say warrant
no okay enti police wo tumi say o kire obia o suspect ne say why bone na wo be complain so a at the time wo be complain na police no police no what discretion be say exercise so what I say wo no aba na aba e complain say police ni tie wa asem no na ono ankasa na adwene mu no ohu say asem na wabeka na che say obi aye bone a ho kwan say okokire sa nipa no but police ni ankasa hwe na adwene no ohu say asem na wabeka no enkire say obi aye bone a onkon kokire nipa no so what I say ntie wo mra bi kra ye fe no unlawful under the same unlawful arrest no your unlawful persecution say onipa no wo akọrọpọtọ asma police na wo insist ya force police ne say onkochire nipa say wo force police na okochire nipa ne ba na ye de nipa no court na nipa ne edibi ma nipa ntumi de wo court because wo na force police for say wo monkochire no so what you say inti police ne wo the right to decide say me nkochire no as to whether obe use handcuff and say on use handcuff ne so police ne discretion but emra ne kire say police ni ba no ka kire say matchrew if you say why body way na wo submit on ho a on ho kwan so be decide say on fa handcuff encha
on do na kwaya eta ho say you hold you omo trouser it is all be my
it depends say police ni susu say wan so mu ya obedwane a obe use reasonable force so obekire wo ye say na be ya undwane infininsem but osusu say wunyu obi a ho ye hu na obedi na chi akonso a obetumi invite na wedi na chi no wako now you ask the question about warrant
enu kwa betire mu say warrant no kwa ye dan ansa na say
warrant no ye tumi warrant eche say tumi court ama tumi say fa ko ye bibi nti ye wo arrest warrant and ye wo search warrant there are other warrants but for the purpose of yen discussion we no me dey say arrest warrant and a search warrant and a ho be banfa so e dey amayen so what can arrest warrant sometimes we find a bench warrant no a e che say police akwakoji tumi efi court say yen fa mecherew emra nti at that point in time no say police ni na cherew a enye police na acherew court na acherew very very important say be hu say difference
no
say police ni e kirewa police ni ebetumi ama o bail say warrant what the warrant ebe kirewa police ni no ontimi ma o bail
and mama mi san bisa say police ni ebe kirewa police no so okuta sa atumi no
enye police ni hia warrant and so ebe kirewa police ni the moment our reasonable suspicion say why bone no or who can say obechirew ohia warrant
to make crata no
so what you say warrant ne bemu e wo mra police ne nya na adwen so ba bechirew ana say bi ohwehwe wa ohun ana bibisa na wa court ana say baby a wo hye no e den say police fo be ba ho na police fo akọ court akọ tumi afi court wonom na court amon tumi say won fa bechirew emra so what you say intino eno no arrest warrant na typically time ben water arrest warrant e bia ya ye de wako court ye de court no e bia court mpama bail and ya tell say next week bra court next week next week wamba obi a court ama bail say next week bra court next week so no wamba na court ama police from to me say ene sa dia mun ko kire say nipa no emra at that point in time no say police ni ba be kire wa ontimi ma bail because enyo no kire technically police na be kire but court na kire enti say obenya bail a say the next court date na police ni de wako court na wako ka kire judge ni enti o ma bail and say na judge na ma bail
me pa sure the next court date no the next court date and no na 1 day and not 2 days and not 3 days
it depend say ebia da police ni be kire wo no the next available date at court betina no because emra na kire say police need the arrest warrant e be kire wa say order ba court as soon as possible
because na maybe say you kire wa it shouldn't take more than 24 hours and
48 hours
embem okay
48 hours ni adwuma wo mra police ni ankasa kire wo a court man warrant sam no emra na kire say police ni kire wa the maximum time we to keep no 48 hours first na 30 days 1992 constitution e buy no and e better to free 30 days and then e buy 48 hours until 48 hours na mra police ni ankasa akire wo and no dey or 48 hours e was say ada say obeja wa na obema bill and na say odo be court you but whereby enye police na akire wo court na ma order si embe kire wo mra wuti anye yekura na yekwa kire wo ba na bia judge na ji leave asamato because this a judge na fi leave abansa wa ba be reverse sa warrant no and say wetumi akofie intino hu pa say wo be court na court be ma bail na court be ka kire say ochina bra court na wanko because wanko na police for no mo ko ji warrant say ba be kire wa say police for no kire wa at that point in time enye police na kire wonti ontimi ma bail another one is when say e be a contempt of court ye do wa court for contempt of court e was say wo ba court personally one ma na court issue bench warrant say yemfa me hwe won kire wo mra eno so say what kire wa agi say court no ene betumi ama bail police for wontimi ma bail just this week ya manya case bisa abranti bi contempt of court what they we ko serve no when follow up one court wako to aeroplane ticket say oko UK odi line mu a okọ akọfro aeroplane na immigration for be so ni mu say apolice for hwehwe apolice for so ni mu no immigration for nya no was yan yentimi ma bail because e court order and we dey come police for so kan was yan so yentimi ma bail court order inti there also that omukodu court one say da no judge amaduma
oh my god
inti ade chen bie man san omo ba ya ansan judge ba ya ansan no kra a chel pa lawyer for ko pa ni ade ansan judge tumi pene so e ma ne bill no na nya asem keto so ati ase inti warrant ne ye court na ama police ni tumi say o mekire e ye different from say police ni ankasa akire say court ma warrant ne ye de bekire wa the same court no e de betumi a reverse and say be rescind sa warrant no ansa ne ye jao
ma mimbisa say enti say police ni beche me na me ankasa ebia me ahwe mra no so say enti mate mra na se kakra enti minim say we echi we ya police di chi me ebia your unlawful arrest bia na say bibi say ya can I resist
that question na anu yi ni ye some way. It will be anti-asi, you know, a police, but yes.
Because maybe sometimes Ghana Hano, go to make us say, "Oh, there I am, would the train be mayo, maybe a ward down for beer or share uniform be." No matter how friend down for no say, just to know you and I just to show you, say, me what power over you. And I net Simenka say, police ni be akoyesa, but I not sometimes no, and call for AS anti Nipana ye betre no. So osusu say. Adeɛ wei ɛyɛ unlawful and I say because kwan bi a police ni bi egyina no wɔ kwan ho what okay mu egyina no ɔkyere wɔ akɔna sɛ wonim sɛ ɛnyɛ right a can you resist?
Well, general advice I'm de ma Ghana fo nyina ne say police ne kyerɛw na sɛ arrest ne yɛ unlawful a it is better say obe submit na obekɔ na wakɔfa procedure no mu na we prove say arrest na nkasa yɛ unlawful. In fact the police ne kyerɛw unlawfully na odetaining wa under article 33 of our constitution no which me Ghana police service ni nyina together with the police officer and say open compensation because arrest now what chire no unlawful arrest so what you say it is better say obe submit on ho na obe chire wo na wako court akwakoje compensation if you want however so ofo say ho edin na betumi abro police ni nso dia honum no e dey wa wasem but there are cases and I said there's a case police ni ekwokyere obi unlawfully ema nipa no resist ye ma police nata atarete ye ema court no
authority a lot of times to make say your friend say you cannot touch a man in uniform or she uniform na adon saka
in this particular case no police the guy in court Emma district court sentence guy into prison now so guy in call appeal no appeal court no Emma appeal court can say district court no kwempa nya if you say arrest now police in the case near Yawasante versus the Republic Antechiji those days 1970s one case back appeal court can say arrest now police in the koye na nkasa no ye unlawful intina Yawasante every right to resist the policeman including putting him down and removing his car key from his pocket because no nekosi ye say police officer na koye no one can't tell Yawasante say ma kire the ho kan say me boss say me frɛ umra and Yawasante ka tell say me ye adwuma me taxi driver intino u boss so friend me there on train me point adwuma meba and a police say by force me do beko and two taxi driver key de share ne bottom taxi driver no so hwa bia na oso wa e no so buru police na yi ni key e ma police ni uniform letete police coin no for reinforcement by no be chain den coin say wa buru police officer atete na tare until he went to prison but okwa appeal no court of appeal eja no because na arrest no unlawful arrest until na make say generally you can resist but say obekwa resist na obekwa prade me dey advice am the man say o dey no munya onyombe yo omuye wi a form court ubetumi do mko akọ pips
me science ho ne biem emra no in to send emra ya way under the 1990 constitution as I say criminal offense act you say code say obedience sabeka police ni is it lawful
very unlawful say we don't sabeka police say wo kwa akobro but whereby we defend won to resist an unlawful arrest ne de emra be bo ho ban
okay
because one kwese wo kwa attack police ni no ono no buy so ba be chew in an unlawful way and I can say wonko ene koda ne ntokwa
okay enti ye fa no your friend say ye share unlawful arrest ni detention say police ne chew ebia it was also 40 within the 48 hours within the 48 hours na onya ma o bail no obi o ha no mo de wakwa akoto counter back and I say you can say police cell ni mu ewo honom say ebia 48 hours ebia police ni bail no sometimes ebia wunye nyaaye na say ebia wo da honom e ma ne bro 48 hours na no so sa no why and I say procedure ben na also offer so e dey address with grievances.
Okay, first of all emrani is very clear say police ni wo chire obi now wo for say wo hia more than 48 hours for your investigations court na kwaje remand from nipa no very simple district court judges no be now they have very good relationship with police officers now even sometimes out of court hours krempo say oba the judge will be willing to sit down and grant you the remand. Inti no me who reason inti a police ni be kire no be ka say mentimi am for wan kwan remand amao. It is very simple. These days Kremponi Chief Justice at the Saturday and holiday court okay. Emma ho kwan say police ni per se or
so detain you
exactly ube call ama judge ama remand no then you the police officer no protect you because one kwaye na sa na se nipa na de wo court a emra say the person who effected the unlawful arrest will pay compensation. That means that police officer no can be ube to your personal liability for arresting the person unlawfully. So what I say intino for me you know advice na come general public no na come police phone so say uchiru bi na ususu say ube here more than 48 hours very easy to go to court and get a remand for the person. Uko na uko church mu ni ntia ohia remand na the judges are very reasonable what the be so ufo say Friday na abechi nipa na you must be prepared to take the person to court on Saturday because they say Chief Justice ama court ni be etna on Saturdays to sit on some of these courts until untumi nka say because of a weekend on the other side no police etchrew na detain beyond the 48 hours unlawfully once na ya infringe upon your right no once wo ho kwan say obekọ court na court declares arrest no unlawful no akọji compensation efi sa police ni ne ho na Ghana Police Service
na say yata hu say em say aban ne say sign kakra no em say me no na yetie news a you say be na yakọ obi fie akọ search ho yakọ obi fie ni akọ search ho emra no ma ho kwan say aposifo and say any government institution bi abegwera obi fie say wo mo akọ search ni pakro no.
Okay, yeah, starting free Article 18 of the Constitution. So also Article 18 clause 2 and then the Constitution ni be binding. Ebia metimi akan. Article 18 clause 2 ni say no person shall be subject to interference with the privacy of his home, property, correspondence or communication. Ti yeka home di obi anim, property nso obi anim, correspondence bi ni say wo letters, wo text messages, communication, wo phone call, ni ade. Almost say no person shall be subject to interference. Not just say we know privacy. So what I say. However, there are exceptions. Inti otu aso can say except in accordance with law and as may be necessary in a free democratic society for public safety. So what I say, say niama na wo ye wo privacy mu no, e betumi compromise your public safety you betumi agisa privacy na fi wonsem.
Pacho sign see wo say law ben
Article 18 clause 2.
Article 18 clause 2.
Article 18 clause 2.
Okay.
Well, public safety, economic well-being of the country. Niama wo ye no e betumi ase your economy na untumi nka say wo privacy nti maye mba ho mehwe niama na wo ye no ye betumi aba ho aba hwe no for the protection of health and morals e bia na say ade a me ye me nkwa me fi na me ye so ade a wo ye wo fi the cholera beba untumi nka say wo privacy nti ye ntumi mebo nwura ho nom e mehwe a wo ye na e meche so ade ase or morals niama na wo ye na be say amanfo morals o man mu a emrama ho kwan say we can invade your privacy. And I say for the prevention of disorder or crime, inti ade na wo ye ne privacy. Now so e betumi the crime any disorder aba, and so e betumi aba ewura privacy mu. And I say for the protection of the rights or freedoms of others. Inti even though Article 18 MIN protection of our privacy no, esanso makwan a aban befa so agisa privacy no edi afi wunsem said am achechemu e wo hanom
no we ni Article 18 of the Constitution.
Of the Constitution. So what you say na afei yen kohwe search warrants e say aban bu rewura nkofu fi ko search a ensem a lawyers be be tai kan ne say wo ko na woni search warrant wo ko ye den wo ho ene ade
unlawful ye taati ni nyina
unlawful yenim say aban nipa ba kokura mpo e de OSP akọ court because of nifia okoye but mrane keni because of Article 18 intino untumi soria enkonko bonro bi fi without any reason say me kwakọ search nipa no say wunya justifiable reason into a wuko the benefit akwa search no because of that ninti no e say wuko with a warrant into say wuko hwe section 88 of act 30 act 30 ni a criminal procedure act na say wudi bone na ye do kokota act 30 no ene ye fa so e de hwe criminal procedure no section 88 no e kire kwan abefa so e de akwakoje warrant so what you say section 88 beka che say se wo pese okoje warrant a wo beko judge anim inti bi attorney general ana police for ana prosecutors ana OSP ana yoko ana any national security ubi a wo pese okọ search obi fibia no wo beko judge ho na wako kan die nti a e wo se okọ search onipa ni fi no a kire judge se wako kan die nti a e wo se okọ search onipa ni fi no e kire judge a na eto judge asoma judge ebe ma warrant no now the warrant no akọ nipa ni fi akọ search nipa ni fi so what you say so ukọ na say anto judge na asoma judge no on ma warrant no now judge na ma warrant na awie no se ukọ nipa ni fi a emra na che say wo the warrant no ebe kire nipa no no waka che ne say esiamasi me wo tumi se mba na mbe search wo fi inti ma me kwana mba mbe search se obi ba no the warrant no e kire wa at that point in time no e was say wujai nipa no ba be search most of the time warrant no be kire adekodo ba ba hwe wo fi honom ABS suspect say wo cocaine ABS suspect say wo diskabia be sie wa ha ye suspect say wo kum nipa de sie wa ha ye suspect say why see ni nyina wo warrant ni
ye hold na ye nkwaje nkrato e ba e me say me search na e ho nkomo e mra no sesen e wo UTV so e me say ye nkomo no eguso a e koso ye nkwaje nkrato ye ba na ye to so you know eda so eda ha e me say ye call break no na ye nkomo no edru bebi a ye ka arrest warrant if an search warrant yeah ka search warrant em say wa cheche mu kaka na mami mpisa say woka first one when it comes to arrest I will say when there's reasonable suspicion person me gina e honom na me bisa sa question say what if a bia your friends that send ye who say ya ban there was so say em say ye sipen no na em say nipa no kra ni ho na aposifo no ana say etumi o ma tumi ne sha won sa no wo mo call nipa kro ni fie ekoye sa search no is that lawful say nipa ni ho na there's reasonable suspicion na wo mu bowura nipa kro ni fie ho eko search honom na is it lawful?
Yes, to the extent say nipa ni kuta warrant no it is lawful because say o kan act 30 na obeka che say unipa ni kuta warrant no a wo afie ni ye wode ana wo a wo hwe fie no so ana wo at that point in time we in charge of the fie no bi dan man no message nti no ehun hia say fie ni owner nankasa wo ho ansa yakwa ye search no so long as onipa ni kuta warrant no oba no disclose warrant na kire mo a ese mo ma ne ho kwan na oba na obeye search no nti no eye lawful say onipa ni fie kura ye be kwa search one more the warrant.
In the same vein you betumi use the excuse say ebia na in the interest of public safety nti ebia we are trying to work with time nti by the time maybe ebe kwaje warrant na ebe ba bedu no na ebia nipa ne ko nti wo de yen kobo na yen koye ye search no ye wia ebia na nipa no ye some terrorist attack bi ebia ye kind of terrorist activities bi oni fie wonti a ye suspect say wo say ye boko ra ho no ebia by the time ye be ko judge ebe ban ebia wa blast area mu go
me catch say wa he say what than a lawyer
when I watch
question now we bisa no ehu hia papa
yes
because discussion now e so radio so ni TV so no kamia kwa akoye se wunni warrant awuntumi nko search obi fie me pacho enye no kre you don't always need a warrant to go and search se woko kan section 93 and section 94 of the same act 30 no obeka kire o say police officer bi ne rank eye above assistant superintendent of police ne rank ne assistant superintendent of police and above utumi bowura wo fie ebe search without warrant so what you say because adapt to say question here obi say me when who say boni bi ekoso wo fie honom afi na ba be court obeko court no obeko officer ko type paper akosoro affidavit akọ commission of oath ama na akọ commission wakọ file ansa ye the judge aba na judge aba betia wo ubekwa akọ gi warrant ne be ba se oba be search na nipa na diboni na wiye oti long nipa na ko
so because yeah lawyer for the tax money yeah mo the bar the people your friend is saying all my everyone nipa ko ni feel without warrant ni na me pe say yeah ye tie wo no ye ntia say ye say can the police do that
into make cases would be and say police ebetumi aba be search wo fi e wo mra wo ni warrant conditions na ebema police aba be hwehwe wo fi a wo ni warrant no mba be chechiri mu number 1 ebia police for HAC okonfo bi ana nipa bi akọ ye boni bi what tie nipa na ba wura wo fie ese wo be wura wo fie no wo ba be hwehwe say nipa na omo che no at that point in time mbra na kire say police ni nya tie mu kase me ye police ni bi dan na mame a wo afie ni ye wo de no so you are the obligation to open the house for police ni no say when bia mbra na ma police ni no kwan say obetumi abu gate no ewuram aba be hwehwe nipa na wo aba be hyehyɛ fie honom no bia police ni bu gate na owura fie honom no wo bu afu nti wakɔ lock gate no wo diki na atuki na twen wadwane mbra na kire say police ni wura fie ho wie na ko search wie na opese opie na wa lock na mbra na san man ho kwan say otumi bu gate no esan pie police phone kwan etumi yes ade no immigration phone to me military phone to me fire service phone to me prison phone to me prison service phone to me nti won say police phone tuni won manu papa
na say that with national security be say BNI for national security
won ko mu ni say to me police for and they was say to me no but the truth is that most of the time no national security for no ebinum ye police for a wo on secondment na say oye police ni ye na ko national security say onko ye aduma so at that point in time oye police ni a owo sa rank no even though already aduma ma national security no owo 2 minutes say obetumi aye dia police ni bia ebetumi aye nti one of the conditions another condition police ni no reasonable suspicion what say police for no go so much discretion e wo manimu or reasonable suspicion say ebia articles of crime ebia niam bi she wo fi hono ma
me produce bi say bi na say nipa na lock gate no na ebia wo enkrama bi wo fi hono na police ni wura hono ma wo mo so enkrama na betumi shoot wo mo abobo
well emrano is silent on it. But I want to believe say what should they releasing enkrama na say won konko keka police for na police for no so every right to protect themselves to the extent say mrana mo ho kwan say otumi wura wo fie no you must in fact mrana nka say wura wo fie keko mrana say you must afford him every facility to conduct what he is coming to do in the house it is say wura wo fie honom na no catch us me pewe a fama no nhwe mbese me search we man nhwe mbese me hwe won pass mbese sebe me ko hwe toilet so bibia man kwan no ko search so all you satisfied no pia no we pie no akọ releasing crime say wongu police for now it's an attack on the police officer and at that point in time no me jedi say police na so betimi dispose with crime no so na be ya crime na mbambe attack no that is to one side now police no was suspicion say articles of crime bibia obidie di bone ana bibia betimi a kire evidence bi say bone bi akoso ni nyina hye ofia otumi bowura ho e be search don't forget say that police officer must be above the rank of assistant superintendent of police so what I say because under those circumstances no say police nika so kwa kwaje warrant e dia ba obeba na bone no e chia pepa intino emrane ma police fun kwan say once they have reasonable suspicion say crime because we feel honum and now for example mama this typical example we a police ni wonam neighborhood bi mu what is obi tietiem wo fie honum yekumyo mihiamu at that time as a police officer ubeka say me kwa kwaje warrant e wo court aba ansema ba fie honum ba search no at that point in time no police no it is incumbent any duty say obe break down na wura fie ho akakɔhwɛ nipa otetiemu say yekumyo no akakɔji nipa ne nkwa so ati ase intino enye no kure say every time bia police beba ofia ba search wo no will say ukuta warrant. There are certain circumstances that police bit me go fee abe search wo mra oni warrant.
Me da se lawyer Matias Sepa. Say ye ba be chimi ya yekuta warrant ye paper. Na means we be a lay person. Na ye de paper bi akyere me ni su keke. Me de hu say paper ye de akyere me ye paper sebe edi mu ankasa.
Well,
and are there features be paper so make me who say this is indeed a warrant that is coming from the court?
Okay. Features ni be say court kwa a granted warrant no. Court ni be paper na so. Say a district court, say a circuit court, say a high court, e di ni be warrant na so. Suit number e be wo so. Wa warrant no yabo udin wo mu no. Udin e wo so. Judge or ma warrant no. Judge ni so din e na ne signature wo so. Court stamp AC warrant na so. E kire say if you court wo hu. Na obi be bisa question say what if say nipa na kwakọ forge a e na ode aba. Emra ba kwen wo Ghana ha ne say ye fe no presumption of regularity. Presumption of regularity. Presumption of regularity ne kire say obi di aban krata bi ana aban paper bi ebe kire say tumi bi wo hono ma e wo say we presume say no kware until you have contrary evidence to show say enye no kware. Nti say nipa ne ba no the warrant ne kire na wo je copy de to hono na later wo the warrant ne court na ko search na hu say warrant na ye fake at that point in time nipa na commit fraud. Nti won so betumi akwa betumi nipa na court for fraud. So what I say? Inti so long as any pande warrant na be kire na court din wo so, judge signature wo so, judge stamp wo so, wonso wudin wo so no, please cooperate with the person whether a fake and say a real. Well, me fa we intwa to. Ye wo law school na professor ba ko kan story we kire atesem. Soldier for ba ya obetu omango ye. On say na e ho ya pese ye chiwe, ye be chiwe na soldier for na kasa koye warrant. Say o mo kwakwachi professor bi o Legon. E no mo warrant ko ma police for na e wo honum ne say mo nkwachi professor we mbreme. Na soldier for na hu professor ni din spell. Enti ba to ya tese mu. Enti police for no so no e yo mo hi say ye warrant for adwuma na mo soldier for mo be job so say mo warrant into mo hu say mistake or warrant so mo ankasa e no mo warrant ko che professor ne ka che say krachi na soldier for ni se mekire wo mra badi na e wo so ne ye hu say enya papa nti nya be ye ne ye de enfa ye ho e na police for no ko ka che soldier for ni say di na e wo so ye ko ye hu nipa no nti by the time soldier for no ko yo mo ko ye correct warrant ba na say nipa no ko away nti no say in a way I'm trying to say di na wo warrant na so na nya wo a you can say nya wo so what I say but most of the time no I wouldn't advise say when the police for the because say what you unlawfully are you always have a remedy right in law.
Me that's a papa and remedy no ehun eyi bi ne say you betu compensation
exactly
and then bi
compensation no no say obe court
police ni bia bomia na bia na police ni bia be chi no aye me basa na me de ne ko me so we ko sue na apart from compensation no you to me police ni so for assault.
Yes, you bet me actually police ni for assault but no kwasem ne say what the police ni for assault police for na ba be prosecute sa nipa no I'm not saying say but I believe say ope say unya better justice there better say wankasa ube sue sa police ni no add your compensation because you can never be sure say police for na ba be prosecute wankasa one police ni no the prosecution will go in your favor but what Matias
say yenhwe wo mo a wo mo nam kwan so de bia last na obi aka say onama na police ni bi che no na so o che no bibi obi say ni bia obi na so we na police say so das say police ni che wo kwan ho a e wo so de warrant eche wo ewo ebia wo drive na wa stop e na ebia opeso search wo car mu na ya ohia warrant ana
me patcho debi say the medical aka no section 93 and section 94 Emma police for kwan emma conduct search in appropriate instances. In fact there are two types of police officers wojina kwan so say master dia obehu say ye won a wo hye white no one way MTTU for most of the time wojina kwan no ho a Now what you say we check for compliance. Compliance ne be ne saying who driving license, who triangle, who insurance, who roadworthy, and it's no. They will check you for the compliance because one way motor traffic unit for I would not find and there's another category of police officers I would not find one share white, was a tuntum. Tuntum for no, we because of compliance. Whether our license and only license and fan or no, we do because a be an hour smuggle goods, a be a working na poor be as a be a illegal substance be as a so they are basically there for crime and as a hardcore crime prevention. And South police for no, ultimately stop you at any point in time. Check your car no more. Obet me catch you say be boot man. I mention your man boot no more because a be a normal intelligence be say ubi kutaka be a description we say and the panel the bibia second into car be about that description be among checking and they will not tell you. And you know would one or catch you say be uka and search please you have to cooperate because they have the power to search you at that point
and does a search include last week who said no be a viral video be a say wafa Uber and a police for agent na almost search a driver new way and no more search or no so because I apparently I'm also open tamako baby and I say police for delaying said when he was then a police for searching a bag we sending the police station say once I could be in a bag me na wallet me na is that lawful? And my sign be another one so count say police ni sign che won so a otumi je wo driver no license ne ka say for license ne ma me na ko and I say for license no e ma me na later ba police station ho.
Okay the kind police ne no e won ho kwan say o search wo but to say medical kind there must be reasonable suspicion of a crime. In this nipa no ye passenger police for searching a searching a bag assign Edna police station no na police for ehu on the bag ni mo inti omo kan so omo search no kwan ho so omo wie inti omo sign the police station no there must be some reasonable justification.
They said, from the video it was supposed to be a woman that was supposed to search her na at that moment
and police ni obia of course yes inti no those are some of the challenges because emrano so can very clearly say police ni bema any who right say obe search police ni by especially when it comes to body search. I will say police ni biana SHO. So if Emra would not find a say police for na ye mema no person was search your beer on the body at that time, you know, they have no option than to send you to where they can find a female. But I understand say sometimes and so police for no to me here would me overdo it ma. At appropriate cases I also say police no exceeding the boundaries no. There are remedies. We bet me the pips. We bet me so SU no in court for certain actions for some compensation. And then we besides say license. Police need able to me your license. Yes. Emrana kind of black and white. I think in LI 2180 say police near or above superintendent biano able to me add your license. But Emrana say I can say all your license now. I will say, the reason why I order the license, not by word of mouth, but on a paper. Into a better say, me detain your license. Me detain your license because A, B, C, D. And yes, say order license now, not the action bottom. The patrol no itiamra. I will say order license now, or record because most of the time, police for edge amount for license, they say won't to come no. We fair driver for now, they will testify to it a lot. So no who's a driver for now, no my photocopy. Say photocopy no so cry. What the map police for no. Original. Well, now, Emrebia ba menije hopa new airline biaba. I don't remember the number unfortunately, but sa new airline no introduce certain measures say no krampo no ehun hia say police no ebeje o license biem because say ni say okwakoye DVL registration na we connecting to your driving license and phone number near the what the cameras are baba what's your friend traffic tech what said the police for nankasa krampo e kan ho asem in say bibi to say we cross red no enya fi na red inti police baba check yourself our license bra we cross red na cameras na wo ho no e be twa wo car number no picture we bedu fie no na attest message say we cross red e wo Tesano junction into wo the car 400 cedis one between do be court nti say one person be court na wakakutua na wapa baby atina nti no I believe says our reforms na benin na beboa ama reduce incidents police ni age license they akoshe obotom na akoyira na but generally police ni bia wo ho kwan so obeka say for license ba no nhwe for inspection and the police ni bia wo ho kwan nemu for detention say origin license no on fam ma won de ji say oye inspector and above or inspector and above no so oje wo license na e wo say otro krata de ma o say de be ya say wo baba ka baba je wo license na ukuta krata edi adanse say police ni we and e je me license that way that time we
lawyer on that basis ma maybe my last question na fe ye fa ye show ni be say me nam kwan na police ya je me license no say on farm me na itimemu for den pa na metimi ayi afa ho
kwan ho no de na eden say wo ne ne kwakoko gi se bia ho odin say ya asante na wa obobo na ni so na o de license no so ni say o ya police for omofa ho enchew but normally no obecho police station or war the sad aspect is police phone be crumple to me general makacho say mencho baby am won ade it happens to the driver and it's very very bad no ye besre IGP say omo na ninko sa no man ho because police phone be abuse one powers no the truth of the matter is that it's quite expensive and time consuming to take on a police officer because all the never call pips be free say mombre echina bi na wo office say okoye adwuma na because of enu ntin wo be jai wadwuma akotena ho wo be call ya say tu ahyeda ene ehun nsem bebre no ade a ha wadwene kakra but generally say police need your license no one family kwan so anje a wo betumi akọ report na ma ne police station honom commander no wo ko ho na commander so entumi answer problem na ma wa wo ho kwan say wo the police no echo pips police intelligence bureau and standards for no honom a one so no they can punish the police officer and get your license back for you.
But since lawyer say a one more show ban say obi a right to your friend is saying arrest any detention assemble pana obe catch omo na omo so dey show omo bottom na omo dey abo.
Well ni America chere Ghana for ne say yin na yenye law abiding. See law abiding now most of the time no we will not come into contact with a police arrest. So what you are saying. But say police need to ba na obechiro in an unlawful way so a wo ho kwan say we take police in on through several ways we betumi reporting within the police system itself open so a we betumi take sa police in on through the court system inti no say wonti bibia se a wo be hwe wo lawyer no wako na ne wo say lawyer so ye ma wo no wa ya ma
Medase papa mrano se sen ewo UTV so en wahwemene lawyer Richard ni ama ena abonkomo your private legal practitioner na eme se wa binye pa na mesua bibi renti police for se muhye obi a mesremo ya mamonje ne license mo ma ne paper bia HSM margin license and then also say yati said to say police ni yes say above the rank of assistant superintendent no otumi bo ufra ufie without a warrant so reasonable suspicion nti enkase police ni inquiry warrant and waba me fie eba be search and a lot of the time submit and let the law prevail and I say follow the right procedures. I am Mano saying that's a neighbor saying she be me din e de ekua asante pa mensa. Bye bye.